Welcome back. House Republicans are examining evidence that alleges how leaders at the National Institutes of Health intentionally avoided compliance with Freedom of Information Act requests and other oversight efforts during the early stages of COVID-19 and the pandemic there. With us now to help break down this investigation is Ohio Republican Congressman and chairman of the House Subcommittee investigating the COVID-19 pandemic, Congressman Brad Wenstrup. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Last week, your select subcommittee released a transcript of Dr. Anthony Fauci's closed-door 14-hour, two-day testimony in January 2024. So walk us through what you found and how you think this has proven to be useful for the subcommittee.
Well, we're having Dr. Fauci in tomorrow for an open hearing in front of our committee. But during the transcribed interview, we found out a lot of things. And that's what we needed to do for this investigation to take place, to find out what took place and what we can do better in the future. But during that process, Dr. Fauci said the 6 feet of distancing just sort of appeared. He said that there was really no science behind the idea of using masks, especially for children. We talked about the mandates that were inflicted upon the American people. And look, I think the vaccine saved hundreds of thousands of lives, but the decision to get a vaccine should be between the doctor and the patient, not mandated. And he has some remorse about that. He said that the American people didn't respond in the way he thought they would. Well, Americans don't do well with "because I said so." And there really wasn't much bedside manner. The other thing, too, is while we were mandating that people get vaccinated or they lose their job, people were coming across our border by the thousands, and they weren't tested and they weren't getting vaccinated. But, Dr. Fauci also said that there was a different definition for gain of function, which is why he said to Senator Paul that we never funded gain of function research. Well, Dr. Tabak, who was the former acting director of NIH, testified more than once now that we were funding gain of function research in Wuhan, China. And what's even worse? This is where their bioweapons program is, and this is a dangerous thing to be doing.
So you've got Fauci with a one-on-one, or at least he'll appear for this interview tomorrow. What do you expect to ask him, and what do you hope will come from this?
Well, all the things that we just talked about, we want to ask him about and go into further detail. Here he is, the highest paid person in the federal government. And besides the things we just talked about, there's a huge lack of accountability and responsibility when it comes to how his position seems to be run. Keep in mind that Peter Daszak, who just got debarred, he's the head of EcoHealth Alliance, and he was doing gain of function research in Wuhan, China. He got the grant from Fauci's agency. Dr. Fauci said that he never looked at the grants, and a advisory board looks at it and then he just signs it. He said he doesn't know about compliance with the grant. When they didn't file their reports on time, he knew nothing about that. So he is backed off from so many things, and this to me is completely inappropriate for his position and being the highest paid person in our government.
Do you think you'll actually get honest answers here from Dr. Fauci, or do you think he'll tiptoe around some of this, the questioning?
Well, I'll tell you, there were a lot of things that he answered by saying, "I don't remember," and he doesn't remember a lot. And our first day of a transcribed interview last month, 2 months ago, he said that he didn't remember over 170 times. But look, we also found in the emails that Dr. Fauci was using his Gmail, which they were using to avoid the American people seeing what they were writing. Well, we got that anyway. And in those Gmails, they said, we have to protect Tony. Tony doesn't want his fingerprints on origins of COVID. And apparently he was using his Gmail too, and we'll see if he admits to that, because we are requesting that we get those.
Some people believe he should be held criminally responsible for what happened. Do you believe that?
Well, I think there's several concerns that people have. One, was there any lying under oath? That's one thing. But also, there may be some referrals we make to the Department of Justice and check with lawyers and to see if any true laws were broken in the process. And frankly, I think there's a lot of places in our agencies where they don't have laws, and they need to have laws. If you violate your standards and that's not unlawful, that's a problem.
Congressman, thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we'll be watching closely tomorrow when that